During World War I on October 31st, 1914, at Yser Bridge in Belgium, the Germans had been invading Belgium for a while and causing a lot of casualties. The Belgian troops were told to retake the bridge within 3 hours. Then, a young soldier named Hercule Poirot had an idea to attack when the wind was blowing to the east in about 7 or 8 minutes. Every morning, when the wind blew to the east, they would see birds flying in the sky. But that morning, the birds flew earlier, and the conditions were perfect for them to start the ambush without being noticed. The enemy wouldn't even know what hit them. It turned out that Poirot was right, and the Germans got caught off guard by the surprise attack. Sadly, the captain got caught in a trap, and the whole bridge blew up, landing Poirot in the hospital with a serious injury. In the hospital, Poirot's wife showed up to visit him, even though he told her not to. Her name was Catherine. She insisted on visiting him, even though he tried to stop her. Poirot was worried that she would hate him because of his scarred face, but Catherine reassured him that she would still love him no matter what. She even suggested that he grow a beard if he was self-conscious about the scar, and that's how the iconic Hercule Poirot mustache came to be. 23 years later, in London in 1937, Poirot, who had recently solved a case in Egypt, was celebrating his success in a bar while listening to the famous blues singer Salome Audubon. Everyone was dancing enthusiastically, including a newly engaged couple, Simon Doyle and Jacqueline de Belfort, in the crowd. This was 3 years after a viral murder case on the Orient Express. Amid all the hype, this super popular gal named Lynette Ridgway, who's gorgeous and loaded, showed up to hang with her BFF, who happened to be Jacqueline. While they were talking, Jacqueline told Lynette that she was getting married to a really cute guy, Simon, and she was head over heels for him. Then she asked Lynette to help out Simon by giving him a job because he didn't have one at the moment. Since it was her best friend asking, Lynette agreed and hired Simon to work as her land agent. To show her gratitude, Jacqueline told Simon to go dancing with Lynette as a way of saying thank you. Simon was killing it on the dance floor, and he led Lynette in an epic dance. Jacqueline was totally fuming watching them. Poirot went back to Egypt after 6 weeks to have a break and check out the Sphinx and 3 pyramids, but his Chilvaki got messed up when he saw some guy flying a kite on a pyramid. He went over to tell him off, but it turned out to be his buddy Book. Book got canned from his job on the Orient Express by his uncle, so he decided to travel the world. Right now, he was in Egypt for a wedding party with his mom Euphemia, who was a talented painter. Poirot got invited to this fancy hotel for a big wedding bash. Turns out it was Simon and Lynette tying the knot. Ever since Jacqueline got all worked up about Simon and Lynette dancing together, Simon and Lynette seemed to grow even closer. On the big day, Jacqueline showed up in a red dress, all heartbroken, and wrecked the whole vibe. Simon and Lynette reached out to Poirot for help because Jacqueline was always keeping tabs on them. Lynette was convinced that Jacqueline had something sneaky up her sleeve and was out for revenge. With this in mind, Poirot declined to assist them because simply following someone was not considered a threat. Later, Poirot bumped into Jacqueline and asked her why she was acting so strange. She told him to stop bothering Simon and just move on with life. Jacqueline admitted she was secretly glad to see them upset. She made it clear that she was devastated and even had a gun ready to end it all. This made Poirot panic, and he quickly told Simon and Lynette to leave right away. Lynette agreed, but Simon wanted to stay on their honeymoon. In the end, they decided to go on a cruise to get away from Jacqueline while still enjoying their time together. The people on the boat were all family and friends. There was Lynette's adoptive mom Marie, her nurse Mrs. Bowers, her cousin and financial manager Andrew, her maid Louise, Poirot, Book's mom Euphemia, the famous blues singer Salome, and her niece and manager Rosalie, and lastly, a doctor with noble blood named Linus, who happened to be Lynette's ex-fiancé. During the trip, Lynette bumped into Poirot and mentioned how she really wanted to go home soon, just like he had suggested. She was feeling pretty uneasy, even without Jacqueline around and with family and friends nearby. It seemed like nobody was a real friend when she had a bunch of money. She asked Poirot to keep an eye on her and Simon to protect them from everyone. When Lynette said no one really gave a damn about her, it was confirmed when Andrew started talking about work during her honeymoon. In the evening, after the party, Poirot was totally smitten with Salome and her music. She got everyone in a great mood. Turns out, Poirot had a big crush on her. Meanwhile, Book was head over heels for Salome's niece, Rosalie, who was also talented at music. The only problem was that his mom didn't like their relationship. The next day, everyone gathered to check out the super old Abu Simbel temple built by the pharaoh thousands of years ago. Lynette was pumped, but got a little hesitant when she saw a sandstorm off in the distance. Once they got inside, they all had a blast checking out the carvings on the ancient building. Then they split up and did their own thing. Poirot filled Salome in on Book's crush on her niece, Rosalie. Salome was cool with it and happy for them, but Book's mom, Euphemia, still wasn't on board with their relationship. Inside the temple, Simon and Lynette were getting hot and heavy when suddenly part of the wall collapsed. They freaked out and got stuck inside because of a crazy desert storm. Poirot figured out that there was a balcony above where the wall collapsed, but no one was there. After that, Linnet got super paranoid about everyone because of what happened before. When they got back to the ship, they found out there was a surprise guest who had just hopped on board, and it was Jacqueline. Linnet was super mad. She was fed up with Jacqueline always tagging along. She thought Jacqueline was out to get them. Ever since Jacqueline got on the ship, weird stuff started happening. Euphemia's red paint and Marie's scarf vanished out of nowhere, even though she always had it with her. During dinner, Rosalie came up to Poirot because they realized their books got mixed up. At the same time, Jacqueline was giving Simon and Linnet intense looks, making them uncomfortable. They decided to cut their honeymoon short and told Poirot. Jacqueline was not happy about it and stormed off. As a way to say thanks to Poirot, Linnet and Simon had a glass of champagne with him, which ended up getting Poirot pretty tipsy. After leaving the party, Poirot ran into Jacqueline sitting by herself. He encouraged her to move on from Simon and start fresh. Poirot opened up about his own struggles when he lost his wife, Catherine, in a tragic accident. He thought he had no future, but eventually found a way to keep going. When everyone was asleep, Simon got so sick of Jacqueline's company that he started yelling at her, and she ended up shooting him in the leg. Afterward, she felt really guilty and tried to hurt herself, but Rosalie stopped her. They took Jacqueline to Mrs. Bowers to calm her down and make sure she didn't do anything crazy. Meanwhile, Book went to get Linus to help treat Simon. It turned out that Simon's leg was really messed up, so they had to sedate him to stop the pain. That night was a total nightmare for Simon. In the morning, Louise freaked out when she found Linnet dead with a gunshot wound to her head. Linus thought she died between midnight and 2 a.m., and there was no sign she put up a fight. She was shot at close range while sleeping with a .22 caliber bullet. Poirot remembered Jacqueline's gun and suspected her, but she was with Mrs. Bowers all night and was totally knocked out. What's even weirder was that the gun Jacqueline used to shoot Simon was also missing. Someone must have taken it and used it to kill Linnet. Poirot then told Book to get the captain to search the river around a ship while he went to tell Simon what happened. Poirot wanted to figure out who the killer was, so he started investigating. He first questioned Simon to find out who had a grudge against Linnet. Simon suggested that Linus, Linnet's ex-fiancée, might be a suspect. Poirot then discovered that Linnet's expensive necklace was missing, so he started questioning Linnet's maid. After looking into it, Poirot realized that Louise was not the thief. He then ordered a search for the missing necklace because he thought maybe the murderer had taken it. Poirot talked to Linus first, but he didn't kill Linnet. Then he talked to Andrew, thinking that he might have wanted to kill Linnet because he would inherit half of her money. But if Andrew really did want to kill Linnet, he would have used his own gun instead of the missing .22 caliber. Poirot then had a chat with Mrs. Bowers. It turned out that before she started looking after Marie, she used to be really rich, but she lost everything after Linnet's father took her big company. Maybe after she drugged Jacqueline that night, she found the weapon and used it to kill Linnet for revenge. After talking to Mrs. Bowers, Poirot then spoke to Marie. He thought she might have done it because she would get most of Linnet's money, but Marie said she didn't have a reason to kill her daughter, especially since she was already wealthy. Plus, she didn't care about money. Poirot went back to thinking Mrs. Bowers was suspicious because she never slept in her own room. She always slept in Marie's room. Also, she was fancy and all about nice stuff, so it was weird for her to work as a servant. Mrs. Bowers claimed she wasn't really a nurse or servant, but more like a friend to Marie. As Poirot was still looking into things, they came across something in the river. Turns out it was Marie's missing scarf, which had been used to wrap up Jacqueline's missing gun. It seemed like it was used to muffle the sound of the gunshots. They also found a bloody handkerchief that belonged to Jacqueline. Poirot then questioned Salome and found out that she never really liked Linnet. 12 years ago, when she was performing at the hotel, a young girl complained to her dad because there was a black person there. It was Linnet. Salome was embarrassed and kicked out, but that was back when Linnet was just a kid and under the influence of her arrogant father. As Linnet grew up, she became a kind person and even became Rosalie's best friend. Poirot wanted to know why Salome was wearing an old-fashioned turban hat. It turned out she had a .22 caliber pistol hidden in there, the same kind that was used to kill Linnet. All of a sudden, Euphemia appeared and found Linnet's diamond necklace in her own room, in her dressing table drawer. It seemed like she might be the one who took it and was trying to make it look like she was being set up. By throwing the evidence into the river, she was probably trying to make it easy to find and create a distraction. The big question was why Euphemia would kill Linnet. She didn't have any motive. But then Poirot remembered that Book had mentioned her mother's dislike for Linnet after she set him up with Rosalie. Poirot then mentioned that he had a secret mission he was working on alongside investigating Linnet's death. Poirot got Book, Euphemia, Salome, and Rosalie together and told them that Euphemia had asked him to look into Rosalie, the woman who Book had fallen for. He revealed that their meeting at the pyramid was no accident. After digging around for a while, Poirot discovered that Rosalie was skilled at gambling, didn't drink much, was generous with tips, and paid her taxes on time. She was hardworking, trustworthy, and most of all, she was head over heels for Book. Shortly after, Poirot and Rosalie stumbled upon a body stuck in the ships, and upon inspection, it was revealed to be Louise, Linnet's maid. After looking into it, Linus stated that she didn't die from drowning, but rather she was murdered on the ship, and then her body was tossed overboard. From the examination, he estimated that the murder took place about an hour ago. In Louise's pocket, they discovered money covered in blood, indicating that she might have witnessed the killer fleeing. There was also a clean cut on her neck that could only be made with a sharp scalpel, just like the one that was missing from Linus's supplies. Right away, Andrew pointed the finger at him and called him a murderer, but Linus fired back, saying that Andrew should be the one under suspicion. He said Andrew was sneaky, and his company always threatened Linnet. They ended up getting into a fight. Meanwhile, Poirot was busy trying to figure out who the real killer was. That's when he spotted some blood stains on the ship's wall and started to think that Louise might have been murdered there. It seemed like there might have been a witness who got splattered with Louise's blood. Everyone started pointing fingers at Poirot, saying he was taking too long. They didn't want another person to get hurt if Poirot questioned the wrong one. Poirot had just one more person to talk to, Book. Poirot started asking questions. He wanted to know why Book didn't wake up Linnet when Simon got shot, and also asked about the red coat Book always wore. Book explained that he didn't want to disturb her. Poirot then went on to accuse Book of coming back to Linnet's cabin after taking Simon to Linus for treatment to grab Jacqueline's gun. He claimed that Book went to Linnet's cabin to tell her about Simon, but when he got there, he saw Linnet's expensive diamond necklace. He admitted being tempted to take it, but when Linnet woke up, he felt like he had no choice but to shoot her. Louise apparently caught him in the act and tried to blackmail him, but Book refused and ended up killing her too. After all that talk, Poirot said it wasn't Book who killed Linnet. The truth was, Book went to Linnet's cabin and found her already dead. He saw her necklace and couldn't resist, so he took it, but then everyone thought the necklace thief was the killer, so he decided to give it back. On his way, he saw Louise arguing with the killer and then getting killed. He was too scared to say anything because everyone still thought the necklace thief was the killer. So he put the necklace in his mom's drawer to protect her. He also got rid of his red coat because it had Louise's blood on it. Book finally had to admit that it was all true, but just as he was about to tell them who the culprit was, he got shot in the neck and died. Poirot tried to catch the mysterious person in the black robe, but they got away. Everyone heard the gunshot and was shocked. They wanted to know who was the next victim, and Poirot told them. Euphemia and Rosalie were devastated to learn that Book had died, and they demanded that Poirot find the person responsible right away. Poirot really had to use his brain. He started connecting all the bad stuff that happened to figure out the pattern. He pieced together all the clues. Then Poirot shot a gun to get the ship crew to lock everyone in one room. The killer was with them, and there was no way out. Poirot began explaining his conclusion. It was Andrew, Linnet's own nephew, who tried to offer at the Abu Simbel temple. Also, he could get his hands on her inheritance, but he messed up and missed. He did it when he was on his own. Andrew owned up to it, but was glad he failed and felt pretty crappy about the whole thing. Despite Andrew's attempt to end Linnet, he wasn't the killer. The real killer was someone else who had plotted everything carefully. He then revealed that Euphemia painted Book in a green coat instead of red because the red paint was stolen by the killer, who turned out to be Linnet's husband, Simon. So it turns out Simon was planning to fake his injury using Linnet's red nail polish, but he forgot it at the hotel. He had to think fast and ended up using Euphemia's red paint instead. Then, when Poirot ended up on the ship with him, he had to drug Poirot's drink to keep him out of the way. When Jacqueline shot him that night, it was with a blank bullet, while Simon held a handkerchief with red paint to make it look like he was really injured. After Simon was left alone, he snuck out and took Jacqueline's gun. He went to Linnet's room to kill her, then went back to the living room to grab Marie's scarf and used it as a silencer to shoot his own leg with a real bullet. To cover his tracks, he made it look like 2 bullets were fired instead of 3 to throw off suspicion. Simon's accomplice, Jacqueline, who was also the love of his life, helped him out when he injured his leg. She was the one who came up with the whole plan and made sure everything went according to it. In the beginning, he introduced Simon to Linnet and made Linnet fall in love with him. That night she shot Simon, she used a blank bullet to create his alibi, making it seem like a grieving husband with an injured leg couldn't have killed his wife. Then she took care of the rest by using Linus's missing scalpel to get rid of Louise and shooting Book in the neck. This was all part of Simon and Jacqueline's master plan. Jacqueline was completely caught off guard and had no way out, so she did something drastic. She hugged Simon, kissed him, and then shot him in the heart, which also ended her own life after the bullet traveled through him and ended in her heart. It was a tragic end to their time together. 6 months later in London, Hercule Poirot was spotted hanging out at a bar where Salome was performing. He had ditched his famous mustache, revealing the scar he got during the war.